Welcome back, everybody. We got a couple of fish on, so this is as good a time as any for me to record this video. You don't always, this spot doesn't have the hottest bite rate in terms of like how frequent the bites are. So to have two fish on at once, I figured, hey, let's just go ahead and get this recording done. This is a decent one here, and I don't know what's on the middle rod yet. Might be nothing, but at least I can show you catching a couple fish here. So another pretty nice frame. Let's see what's on this middle rod, and then I'll break down the spot for you a little bit. Oh, this is also a decent fish. Okay. So it is, I know my picture's blocking the time, but it's 10:23 in-game time. Temperature is 11.4 degrees Celsius. No real wind to speak of. It is stormy here, although I think this spot was just as good in the sunny days, if not better, in fact. It's kind of slowed down since it started raining over the last few hours. We are at 67,157, which, dang. I will open the map here in a second. Kind of show you where we are. I actually think the last carp video I did was on this same spot, but I'm using well, I shouldn't say completely. I'm using different baits, different PVA, and the spot has changed pretty significantly since the last time I fished here. Which it has been 2 or 3 days at least for me since I fished here. Although this is one of the more, I think, active carp spots at Amber right now. I just haven't been at Amber a lot in the last couple days. That's just a common, right? One thing I've loved about this spot is that it has been nice to have a spot like, my favorite spots at Amber are the ones like this one where you're not just catching common carp. And lately I feel like I've been catching a lot of common carp at Amber. And so this has been really fun tonight. Okay, so here we are on the map. We are at D3. Like I said, we're at 67,157, and we are clip 35. And I will go ahead and show you the 3 setups just as soon as we get a moment. We'll look at Lotro just like trying to jump in there. You know, I mentioned earlier maybe I'd do a Lotro video sometime. And Lotro just like popped in as I'm reeling in this fish. I'm not sure I can tell you why that happened. I was just logging into Lotro to get my Hobbit present. And then my rod started going off again. So if you've been paying attention, you've seen at least the pictorial representation of the baits we're using. We do have large 1 hooks on all 3, so no tricks with hooks this time. That's also a common. But it's a nice common. Very nice. Okay. Let's start from left to right on the gear setup. All this is, all 3 of these are going to be classic pop-up. Same carp rig stuff that you've hopefully, if you've seen my previous videos, you've pretty much seen these exact same setups. Really nothing to speak about. But let's look at the bait. So on this first one, and this first rod is, and I often do this, I often will have one of my rods set up trying to get as big a fish as possible. Sometimes I do that with the hooks that we use, but usually the way I try to do that is the baits that I have on. And what I have found is that this combination with the garlic mussel 20 and the tuna 16 with squid and fish mix as a dip is a pretty slow bite rate. So I'm not catching a lot of fish on this first rod. However, the one trophy I've had in this spot tonight was caught on this rod. On average, the largest carp were caught on this rod. And so theoretically, you could put this setup on all three, I would say, although you're going to miss out on some fun fish because I've been catching some pretty fun fish on the other two rods as well. But if you're just going for big carp, really doing this setup would be worthwhile. So that's the baits we're using. And let me just show you the PVA while we're here. And I need to give someone credit for using this dip, the squid and fish mix dip, as well as this specific PVA. And I will give them credit in just a second because I'll show you, make sure to get their name right and everything. I'll show you the message. So that's the PVA, right? Ground peas and then basically a mixture of tuna and squid additives, and then squid attractant. So we're leaning towards squid with a little tuna mixed in on the PVA, which is different, right? So that's the first rod. Let me go ahead and give credit because that first rod, let me think, who was it? It was this, okay, it's Gone Fishing, who in, okay, so I'm trying to remember who Gone Fishing is in Twitch because he actually sent me this when I was streaming earlier tonight. Anyway, this is he gave me the PVA recipe. I don't know where Gone Fishing got it from, but I really appreciate it. And we'll see. It looks like he was using tuna 16 pop-up with the squid flavor artificial corn. So that is what's going to be similar to, in fact, exactly what's on my middle rod. Now, we went from the first rod on the left being the slowest, but the one that has gotten the trophy for me. So I kind of put those together on that middle rod. But this is what Gone Fishing recommended, and this has been the highest bite rate. So if you want constant fish, this is your best bet. And this has obviously got tuna 16 pop-up with the squid flavor artificial boilies. And that same dip, okay? And the same PVA. The same PVA is on all three. Now, where it gets kind of interesting is on the third one, I went very different than the other two. I'm back to mussels dip. I've got garlic and mussel 20 pop-up with tuna pepper 16 pop-up. And as you can guess, this one is sort of in the middle. It's not the real fast bite rate of the middle rod, but it's not a slow bite rate like the first rod on the left. This one's been pretty consistent and really good quality fish as well. So if you have this middle setup in here with the artificial corn, as is often the case with artificial corn, you're going to catch a lot of small carp and just random smaller stuff. But you'll also have some really nice stuff on this, and I'll show you what I mean here in a second. All right, so let's look at the fish we've actually caught. We'll start with the common barbel. We've had a couple of nice ones, and garlic and mussel 20, tuna pepper 16. So that's on the far right one, right? Wait, is that right, or is that the... Yes, that's the far right one. This one is on the middle one. So the middle one and the right one are the ones catching my barbel. And then we'll come back to common carp. Frame-sided carp, we've had some really nice ones here as well. Look at this big 18 kilo. You just saw me catch the 15 kilo. Garlic and mussel 20 with the tuna 16. So that's far left. But then this one, oh, that's also, yeah, that's the one I brought in when I first started recording, right? Garlic, mussel, and tuna 16. Tuna 16 and squid flavor. So what I'm trying to show you is that all three of them are catching a lot of the same species, but the middle rod especially, and then the right one to a lesser degree, is also catching a lot of other things like common barbel. We had one gibble come in on the artificial corn. Some nice mirrors, maxing out at 10 kilos so far. And that one is on the garlic and mussels with the tuna and pepper. but again, variety, which is nice when mirror carp are biting because it gives you something to catch overnight, especially. And then here is, before we wrap back around to common carp, let's look at mirror ghost carps. 3 mirror ghost carps out of this spot. So let's check the baits. Garlic and mussel, tuna and pepper 16. Garlic and mussel, tuna 16. So that's the left and the right rod. And then garlic, mussel, and tuna and pepper 16. So not on the middle rod, but on the outside rods, we've caught these mirror ghost carps, which has been really cool. It's fun to see those. Now let's look at common carp. And this is the big bad boy we want to really look at. 28.59 kilos. And this was caught on the far left rod, the one with tuna 16. A really nice common carp. I think that's my personal best, actually, 28.59. But a really pretty fish. So I kind of like these 3 setups I've got. It's sort of balancing everything. Look at all these fish. It's sort of balancing everything. Now, maybe we'll see a really small fish on that middle rod, because it does happen. I mean, I've even caught some non-marker carp on that middle rod. It's another common. But it's a good balance. Like, you're getting fish every once in a while. I'm not waiting more than 5 minutes between fish at this spot. So it's pretty nice. And you can see we're up to 85 fish now. So we'll go check we'll double check the cafe. Yeah, here's a small fish for you. So you do get these. If you're going to use this, if you want to kind of slow your bite rate down and try to get higher quality or bigger fish, then you don't want to use this artificial corn setup. But if you want to catch the barbel and just also have more things to catch, then it's kind of nice because you sometimes have really nice fish mixed in on this middle rod as well. Okay, let's go check and just get an estimate of kind of where we are. Now, I've been fishing here for a long time tonight. So, I mean, this goes back almost 4 hours. I took a break in the middle, but it's been a lot of fishing here off and on tonight. So, so I don't know, like, per hour. I'm not going to be able to give you an exact per hour amount, because I think when I had around 50 fish, I got a cafe order filled, and I also sold, I don't know, like 10 fish or 20 fish just to kind of clear up my keep net for a while, because I knew I was going to be out here for a while. So this isn't going to be an exact number in terms of per hour, but just to kind of look and see how this spot is adding up. It's going to be a nice amount of silver. So it's a pretty good spot. Yeah, right now we're sitting at 1,200 silver. That's 220 for that common carp. Mirror ghost carps, of course, are going to be towards the top, at least if they're decent sized. The barbel, decent barbel, always sneak up there towards the top as well. So that's a lot of silver for just kind of hanging out in that one spot and getting some good fishing in. Just make sure nothing new's at the cafe. Yeah, we had this mirror carp. Oh, nice. I can't tell you how many times in the past couple weeks that I fished amber that this 11.5 kilo common carp order has popped up. That's been really nice. I've made some consistent silver off of that cafe order. And there's not going to be anything else unless the orders change there. So anyway, I wanted to share this spot with you again and just kind of talk about how it's changed a little bit. We'll go see if there's any fish on the lines, and maybe we'll get lucky and you'll get to see a ghost carp come in. But 3 ghost carp in 4 hours, and honestly 2 of them were really close together. But it's been fun, and in my chat tonight after my stream, I took a break and then I came back and started carp fishing, and a lot of people were out here at the same time I was, and I wasn't the only one catching really nice fish here. In fact, even folks who weren't able to use PVA were still catching some real winners, some trophies even. So I think the PVA is really good. I like this PVA mix, kind of the different variety of fish it's bringing in. But even if you don't have PVA, it might be worth checking this spot out. Let's hope this is a decent fish coming in on this middle rod, because I don't want to leave you with the impression that it only catches small fish. But it does catch small fish. So I like having this setup in here with the artificial corn. I feel like it's worth it. I feel like I'm getting more variety, and it just gives you something to do. You're catching fish a little more often. But there's no question that this brings the average size of the fish that I'm catching way down by having this middle rod in. But see, I think you could go all three with any of these setups. I mean, I'm using 3 different setups, but I think you could choose any of these 3. Like, you could go for all the biggest you could catch in this spot and go far left. You could go far right and just sort of be a consistent bite rate. Or you could go crazy and do the one in the middle. And yeah, you're going to have like fish constantly, but you're also going to be making a lot of fish pieces because you're getting smaller fish, but then you'll have some cool stuff mixed in. The only thing is, there was no mirror ghost carp so far on that middle rod. And I'm not saying it couldn't happen. Obviously, it probably could. It just hasn't yet. So that's the only thing that would make me hesitate about not having at least one rod set up with the double pop-up boilies. So that's my take on it after spending some time in this spot. I think it's a great spot right now. Other people have been fishing other places at Amber. It seems like other places are pretty healthy too. But it seems like I chose the right spot to spend the evening fishing off and on. So anyway, just want to do an update video on this spot. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have some great fishing, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Peace out.